I used to think I was bad at understanding difficult books. I've tried reading the Bible multiple times in my life as a kid and even as an adult. It's been incredibly difficult. But it wasn't until recently when I started reading the Bible, I set a goal to read it in a year, that I discovered that I was just approaching difficult books the wrong way. And so in this video, I'm gonna share with you what I've learned that's made it really easy for me to read the Bible this year. And I'm actually probably gonna finish the Bible sooner than I thought I was. Throughout my life, whenever I've tried to read the Bible, it's always been this cycle of I'd start reading and then I struggle with the information and then eventually I would quit. And I'd come back to it multiple times, but it was always that same cycle of starting, struggling, and quitting. But it wasn't until I read this book right here that I started to get some tips on how to improve my reading ability. And that started with just like looking at the main points. And so that's a great start, is to just, before you read the chapter, get an idea of what the main points are. And you can do that by just looking at the chapter title. And that helped a lot, because just looking at the chapter title in the Bible kind of gives you a little bit of context. And context is really where we're trying to go. Now, looking at the chapter titles is going to have an immediate impact on your ability to understand where you're trying to go. But there's a way to take this even further that I'll cover here in just a second. But the reason that this works is because it gives you context. It gives you more of a map of where you're trying to go within the story. And it's like watching a movie for the second time. The first time you watch it, you're trying to pick out all the details and you're just trying to piece together the story. But the second time you watch it, you have that context and you're able to pick up more of the details within the story. You can also think about it like a conversation that you just walked into halfway through. You can understand the words that the person is talking about, but if you don't have the actual context, you really don't understand what's being really talked about. And a difficult book can feel the same way. Now, you can take this even further, but I just want you to be careful with this, because a lot of people, including myself, have the tendency to kind of abuse this, and it really takes away from your ability to read. And that's by looking up summaries here on YouTube. So for me, what I do before I start reading a book in the Bible is I will watch a summary of that specific book. And shout out to the Bible Project. Those book summaries have just helped me pull out so much more detail whenever I'm actually reading the Bible. Book summaries can really help, but you want to use them to orient yourself, not to completely replace the book. You can look at the summary as like the map, and the book itself is going to be the journey that you're going on. You know, whenever you're listening to a book summary, you're getting someone else's compressed version of that book. And so you still want to take that and go into the book and formulate your own ideas and wrestle with the ideas that are in the book yourself. Someone recently asked me here on the channel if I think that AI book summaries are good to use, and I feel the same way about AI summaries as well. Like, you want to use it to orient yourself, but you don't want to use it as a complete replacement for the book. And just keep in mind too that sometimes AI is going to make mistakes, but it's just another thing that's going to give you a little bit more context. So here's how you can do this yourself. You start by opening the book and just looking at the table of contents. And looking at the table of contents is going to give you those chapter titles. It's going to give you an idea of where the book is trying to go. Now, you can go a step further with this and look inside of the book. Books out there like Atomic Habits or The Millionaire Fast Lane, those books have summaries at the very end of the chapter. And you can just go in and just read those chapter summaries first. Now, don't go in and read all the chapter summaries at first, but just make like a commitment to yourself. Like, I'm gonna read this chapter, and start by reading the summary of the chapter first. And if your book doesn't have a summary at the end of the chapter, what you can do is you can just read like the first paragraph and the last paragraph of that chapter, and then I'll give you a lot of context as well. I don't just type in like this specific book summary. I'll try to find chapters from the book or specific books, like in the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, where there's a YouTube video kind of breaking down that chapter. And that really helps give me a good understanding. But what if you still don't understand the book that you're reading? Well, difficult books are supposed to be difficult sometimes. You won't understand everything immediately, but just keep reading and come back to the confusing sections. You can look things up and reread when necessary, but don't confuse difficulty with inability. If you want to take this even further, watch this video next, because I'm going to share with you a simple system that improved my reading comprehension. Keep learning, keep growing, keep going, and I'll see you in the next one.